Yeah. Okay. So then let's start. Let's start with double key encryption. One of my favorite topics and the most yeah, this is one of the topics I discussed a lot with my customers, and I'm come from Europe and Germany, and yes, I discuss it with all of my customers. But let's start and have a look at double key encryption, the Microsoft Hold Your Own Key solution with Microsoft PureView. And at first, I will thank you for the invitation for this one day virtual event. Please, yeah, be a part of it. Please see these exciting prizes. Donate for empowering girls with education. Donate today. And thank you very much for the team in the background. I know how much work it is. I'm organizing also conferences and being a part of the community. So thank you very much for the team, and thank you very much for everyone who's here and be a part of this amazing conference. So let's start with double key encryption and one of these amazing topics in the Microsoft PureView product. And yeah, my name is Raphael Koellner. Thank you very much for the introduction. You see on the right side, I'm a community guy, a compliance and community guy. I'm studying law in Germany and informatics and working my whole life on IT consulting companies, and also on law firms. And since some years, I founded my own company, and I'm the CEO of the company with a lot of with some employees and freelancers. We make compliance consulting, data privacy. We are data privacy officers at companies and also compliance officer. And I'm also a worldwide group DPO. So I'm the data privacy officer for a car builder company, which is working worldwide and also in India. We have locations in India. So I'm very happy to be here. What we are doing today, I have a short introduction. We will talk a little bit about regulatory. Then we have a part about double key encryption, why, how, and how it works. And then we have a part about best practices in Q&A, or better, we have a best practice Q&A, and then we have a little part of technical, how it works, how we can test it, and yeah, so let's start. At the end, hopefully you know a little bit more about encryption, encryption and information security with DKA, double key encryption, and providers for encryption, and how you can use double key encryption on either way, and why you want to use double key encryption. And I will bring you a little bit into the discussion why you use and why you use not, and why we have the discussion about double key encryption worldwide. And yeah, the first thing is, yeah, we have a modern workplace. We are working every day in our home office. We are working on our company. We are traveling. We are traveling to conferences. We are speaking on conferences. We are traveling by train. We are traveling through the world. And on the other side, we are dealing with information, and we have to protect our information. We have to protect our information in this modern workplace. And this is my default slide for modern workplace. We are working with employees. We are working with external, like freelancers. We are working with external experts in our projects, and we have the community outside, and we all together working for some projects, and we have work results at the end. And it's very important to protect the drafts, the work results, to protect our projects and to protect our intellectual property. And often when we work on projects, it's not only to create, for example, a PureView labeling set, or to implement ISO certificate with information protection and data lifecycle and all of this. Often these information behind the technical solution or the concept behind the concept, and also the technical solution are confidential data. And I have a lot of discussion with customers, also with customers with more than 400,000 employees. And they said, okay, we have information they can't leak. We were in very big trouble when these information will leak, or when these information about our new product will leak. For example, think about when Microsoft is planning Viva and someone leaked all the Viva products before Microsoft can announce this. This is not the best way. And also, we have some very confidential information from intellectual property to finance information, which can be a very hard one when it will leak. So we working in a modern, flexible workplace, and we are working with normal information to SBK4, SBK5, or TLP red information. Now we have to discuss how we protect these information in this modern workplace. And what I see is that this modern workplace is everywhere. We are working with different applications in in different locations, from Microsoft 365 to Azure to AWS. You see it in these sessions today, that Microsoft Purview is also supported other locations, so that's fine. And we are working in different clouds, and we are working on different devices. We are working in different locations, for example, in Germany or in India or in Australia, in USA. So we need a solution, and the most using solution in my surrounding, also in Germany, is Microsoft Purview information protection. And in this solution, or in this implementation of this solution, we are discussing often which key we use. Bring your own key, hold your own key. And for the enterprise companies, and more with data privacy discussions, to protect data before NSA, CIA, and some other high sensitive national regulatories, we have to talk about hold your own key. And yes, do we have a hold your own key solution before DKE to protect these? Yes, we have it. It's called ADRMS. Yeah, there is a word before Purview. And we have some companies, but only a very few companies, they use an ADRMS to protect their files with a hold your own key solution in Microsoft, or with a hold your key solution for only unstructured data. And why they do this? Because often of the regulatory. We have reasons, for example, that we have to protect these information, not these files, this information in these files. For example, for legal reasons, we have decisions in laws that is very, very interesting. For example, in US, you have to give your information in this process, all of the information you have to public, or you have to make public in the process. And then you need a secure way. You have due diligence processes on the other side, when you want to buy a company or sell a company with very high sensitive information. In Europe, you have special regulations. For example, when you are dealing with the army, when you are dealing with the national authorities, you need a special security and protection solution. And also, and this is the most discussion I'm having with double-key encryption, is data privacy and GDPR. And not only GDPR, it goes more and more to China or to Turkey KKK. So the new China data privacy law, the Turkish KKK since 2 years, the Russian data privacy law. So from GDPR, we get more and more new data privacy law, where you have to protect your data, and you have to stay your data in your country, and you have to protect your data before organizations like CIA, NSA, and whatever. And this is today also a very huge discussion in Germany. So we are talking about hold your own key because, in Germany, they said, okay, hold your own key solution is the only secure solution to protect your data, that you have the key. And only when you have the key, you can protect your data. And this is the same where they have the discussions with companies also in Australia, in China. In China, it's very difficult because you have to publish the key to the authority. But in all other around the world, we want our hold your own key solution, not only for unstructured data, for structured data, also for our own applications. So yes, we will have a look a little bit later where hold your own key solution is possible everywhere. And a very interesting thing is when you implementate and discussing about information protection, when you're discussing about labeling, you can fulfill more and more regulations. For example, ISO certificate, and for example, also TISAX. Hopefully, when you're working in a car builder company or in a supplier for a car builder, you need TISAX certification. And this is also a part of how you protect your information. You need an information security system. And then you have the discussions about, with which key you will protect your data. Double key, bring your own key, create your own key solution, or you use the default Microsoft key to protect end to end. And when you do and you have this discussion, you can fulfill some of these regulatory. The most of these regulatory don't give you the main option. You need to hold your own key solution. That's very fine. Often they say only you need a data encryption solution. So hold your own key is not definitely main reason to fulfill everything, but hold your own key is more and more a discussion of data privacy and protecting for organization like CIA or NSA. And when you have a look also worldwide about this, you have some regulations I see also in South Africa, also in Brazil, and mainly also, yes, in Germany, that more and more you see you need, hold your own key solution to fulfill more and to be a little bit more protected. And yes, when we have these regulations, you use the protection to protect all of these secrets, and you have the same thing. But when you discussed about Microsoft Pure Information Protection, you have to discuss, classify, and label all of these. You have the sensitivity, or something in German, but you have the sensitivity labels, and you have to encrypt. And the main topic is which encryption do you use, and this is what we are talking about today. And when you have a look, for example, into the clouds, it is very, very interesting that more and more clouds, starting with Google and now AWS and Azure, is discussing that you have a hold your own key solution. So that's very, very interesting that we have more and more possibilities that you can use a hold your own key solution for not only for data, also for SaaS and PaaS services. In Azure, it was also possible for storages. In Google, you can use it for everything. It's possible to bring your hold your own key solution for everything for AWS, and this is updated. We have a long time that is no possible or no options, but now also we have, this is relatively new since the last 2 years, we have an option to hold your own key one. And that's very interesting that more and more companies said, okay, we bring clouds into your region and we support hold your own key. And when we have a deeper look to Microsoft 365 as a modern workplace solution, you see that yeah, we have only one hold your own key solution for files, starting with a DRMS, and now today it's called double key encryption. And it's very important that we know what is hold your own key, and about which solution we discussed. And often I see, we have hold your own key, and this is customer key. No, double key encryption isn't customer key, and it's it's a very interesting often that a lot of people say, okay, hold your own key is everything like customer key. Customer key is the encryption at rest, and is possible for Microsoft 365 here. I have here also hold your own key, but this is for the Azure part. And then for application, this is customer key one. No, this is default, or bring your own key is customer key is a bring your own key solution. Then we have, for example, Fort Knox principle, SharePoint Online. No, you can't change the key. You can't bring a key for Fort Knox. You can't use double key encryption for Fort Knox. And then this is a file level, email level, and we're talking a little bit deeper and deeper about this topic today, to encrypt files, emails, and whatever is possible. And maybe only files are possible for DKA, but we will see it in a couple of minutes. When we see these and we have an overview, and I'm showing you one of the worldwide providers we have, for example, Thales as an PKE, as a key provider. We have also Entrust, and we have also HashiCorp as the three main companies which are dealing with key management solution worldwide, and also the cloud provider AWS, Google, Azure, Salesforce, SAP is using these companies for key management solutions. And at the end, this company has also a double key solution. So we will talk today as an example about Thales, but also Entrust has a solution. HashiCorp has some partners which creating a double key solution, and you can also create your own double key connector. So this is the double key solution. You need a connector, and you can use these providers, for example, when you don't have your own key or HSM model, key solution, key storing solution. And when you have this, and when you have this discussion about double key and double key encryption, for me, it's only currently it's only a discussion about protecting files, protecting information itself, combination, and dealing with the combination into your information security system with Microsoft Information Protection, and in a deeply view with Azure Information Protection when you have and when you want double key encryption. So we have a look how double key encryption is a part of this solution, how it works and what works. We will see in a couple of minutes. So this is the part of the introduction one, and what I got a lot of questions about how you see we use double key encryption when we have double key encryption. And the first one is yes, and I now lead using the red pen. Email is not working today. So when you have double key, email is not working today. You can work with files, and in the preview, yes, you can work with a natively with the native implementation of Microsoft Information Protection labels into the Office, into Microsoft 365 apps for enterprise, for example. And this is very interesting. I choose here the Mac one, and no, Mac one is also not possible. So you need the Windows device and the Microsoft 365 enterprise apps. And is it natively working today in GA? No, it's only working in public preview with natively, so you need the AIP client. And this is very interesting that when you have a Windows device and working with a Windows device, and the user is clicking on the label, and DKA double key encryption is working with this label, then no one sees if you use double key encryption, bring your own key solution, or the default key. When you have a deeper look and said, okay, please send me an email with this label, it's not working. Please work on a Mac with this label, it's not working. And then you see more and more, oh yeah, yes, okay, this is double key encryption. So as a user with Windows and the newest version of M365 apps for enterprise, you don't know and you don't see is it a double key encryption label or not. You use the label and you encrypt the file when everything is working in the background. But on a deeper look, you see also as a user, okay, this is a double key label. And so this is, yeah, as a consequence of this, we have some best practices and best practices hints, but yeah, now have a deeper look and comparing about yeah, encryption methods in Azure and Microsoft 365. And we have a look here. For me, I creating more and more of these comparing slides before we have a deeper look to double key encryption itself, because we need some decisions when we want to start with double key encryption, and we need to be clear advised. For example, here for standard, so default Microsoft key, switching to the laser pointer here. When we have the standard one, so the Microsoft key, where's the Microsoft key stored? Is in Azure Key Vault. Who can restore the key? Microsoft. Can we revoke the key? No, it's Microsoft the administration, and yeah, to take care about the key is at Microsoft, so we can't restore it. Is a restore best practices? Yes, Microsoft has one, so they can restore the key. Do you need a licensing? Yes, AAP licensing one, so the minimum is requirement. Is it working with external? Yes. Do you have an effort, a huge effort? No, it's very small. I can implement it in 20 seconds. Then you have Microsoft Information Protection label with a key, and you can working also with other companies. With Microsoft itself is using this solution, and then compares also with regulations, for example, in Europe, and regulated companies like insurance companies, finance companies is using this default label. And then it will be more and more interesting, because bring your own key is also the supported one. So you use your key, bring your key to Azure Key Vault or Azure Key Vault HSM, and then you connected these to an Azure Information Protection, or yeah, Azure Information Protection label, Microsoft PureView Information Protection label, and then you can revoke the key, but you bring this key to Microsoft, and yeah, Microsoft itself is also using these key solution. Regulated companies in Germany or also in Europe and also worldwide using this solution too. So you have two labels for this, and then we have the discussion to create your own key. Create your own key is a not supported one, but it's only the default that for create your own key, you rotate your key more often. So you create a key and put it to the Azure Key Vault. And yes, also for customer key, also for information protection, that's not supported that you rotate your key very often. For customer key, yes, it's supported. For information protection, you can, but it's not the really supported way. Out of my perspective, you have to restore and back up the keys you use, and you need the key to encrypt. Also, so or to decrypt and encrypt with a new key your file. So this is very limited. I know only one company in Germany, for example, they're using create your own key. And the most discussion I have is between bring your own key and double key, because do you have another hold your own key solution? Yes. From other providers, you have hold your own key solution, also from open source providers, but as a part of Microsoft 365, as a part of PureView, you only have double key encryption today. And for double key encryption, yes, you have a part as Azure Key Vault, and you have a part in your RSM model. For example, you can use you can use Azure Stack, for example. So this is combination of this. I have customer they using double key encryption. I know companies also more and more they use double key encryption. Microsoft is also using double key encryption, but very, very limited. You need Azure AP Plan 2, but today nearly you need Microsoft 365 E5. So it's one of the highest licensing you can get. You need, is it working with external? No, not really. Yes, there is a solution to give the external and internal account. Then you can work also with external, but not so easy like the default key solution. Yeah, the risk and the effort is extremely high. It's minimum when you use key providers like Thales or Entrust. You can work with other companies, yes, with a few when you give the other company also account in your tenant. So it's very limited, and this is the first step into the discussion how it works, what works, and how you compare. So more and more companies using, or all companies using the standard one, more and more bring your own key, and only a few are using double key encryption. Today, when we have a deeper look into double key encryption, what is double key encryption? And yeah, more and more deeper, you see that double key encryption is a different way to use a key. And for me, yeah, it's the highly protected way to bring your key to Microsoft 365, to Microsoft Purview information protection, so that no third party has access to your files, and you're dealing with high confidential, so high confidential data. And yes, you have two keys. And yeah, let's have a look more deeper into double key encryption itself, and yeah, a little bit less discussion. Yes, you need double key encryption or not. And yeah, the first one is also, and I created only a slide for this. DKA is not customer key, so don't bring it together. Let's talk more about DKE. So DKA, what do you need for it? And in the comparing table, you see something about it and something about DKE and what you need. And they're talking about the licensing. So you need Microsoft 365 E5. You need keys and a key generator for your own keys. So this is one of the difficult ones. Not every company has an own PKI, so it has a key generator, a secure key generator. I see some companies, they're using open source software to create the keys for double key encryption. It's possible, but yeah, please use a professional solution. For example, when you don't have one of these big three like HashiCorp, Thales or Entrust, or there are also some smaller companies also in Europe. They provide key solutions because yes, you need these HSM modules, these PKI as a key store and key management. That's more important out of my view, since to create the key is to archive, backup, and restore the key. And this is the main point here. This is the main point when you don't start with DKA. When you say, no, DKA is not a solution for me, is the storing and management of keys, because in most companies, and also companies with more than 400,000 employees working worldwide, don't have a key solution for double key encryption, and don't have the key solution for dealing with unstructured data. They have often key solutions for the finance management, or for finance information, or yeah, finance and transfer, money transfer situations, or yeah, out of these areas, but not for unstructured data. You need a little bit of special requirements. But yeah, sometimes you can use the same key solution, but this is the main discussion point. Then you need tenant user for everyone. Yeah, everyone who's working with DKA, you need a tenant user, not B2B. You need a yeah, default member user, not B2B, B2B direct. everything is not working, you need a tenant user. You need devices, Windows device. You need the IAP client today. Yes, the client that don't works beginning next year, which we don't have new features. Yes, today you need the IAP client. And you need the Office apps starting 2009. So yes, why? Because Double-Key is RD RMS. So for Office apps, Word, PowerPoint, everything, you can start with 2009. So this is a typical limit. And then you need the IP version and Azure Information Protection for this. And what I'm adding, and this is my requirement for DKE, the other ones are out of the documentation or for Microsoft. My requirement is you need VPN. So now when you start with DKA, you start with the VPN. And this is very interesting because more and more companies said, okay, we go to Microsoft 365. We don't want on-premise server. We don't need VPN when we're working with Microsoft 365. And now you're starting with DKE. You start with VPN one more time. And I have some companies, regulated companies, they starting with DKE. And they don't have VPN today because they have their files in Microsoft in SharePoint Online. They have their files in some other cloud storages, and they don't use VPN to these cloud storages or to SharePoint. You don't need it. And now we start with DKA, and now we start with VPN one more time. And this is very interesting. And I will explain you why you need VPN.
I'm sorry, what? She says,
Okay,
no.
please mute yourself. And then thank you. And then we go a little bit forward when you see, okay, what do you need and why you need this? Because we have a look at what is working with what is not working with DKE, and what's not working. Email. You can't encrypt email, and yes, it's on the roadmap, but it's not working today, and there are no private previews or previews that are working with email. Also, mobile devices like iOS, Android. Okay, we don't have Windows Phone anymore, but iOS and Android. To have a look at the most ones, or with your Surface Duo, it's not working. So mobile devices, no. Is it on roadmap? Yes, but it's not working today, and it don't works with cut files and other typical and all of these special file types is not working. And on the other side, what is working? Yeah, you need a Windows device. So I have a client, they bought Windows tablets for everyone as a mobile device, so they can work with DKE. On the other device, like classic laptop, so normally you have a classic laptop, a Windows laptop, Windows 10 or Windows 11. It's working. You work with Office files, so Word, PowerPoint, Excel. So mainly you use it for these files types, and this is in preview. You can use a native client. So I'm in the preview program, and this is very, very new. It's a private preview that you don't need the IP client anymore. And with all of the customers using RDRMS or DKA today, they get the offer to be a part of this preview, so you can labeling files without the IP client natively in Word, for example. And this is amazing step. And the more amazing step is the next one, and I give you the link for the private too, is the DKA and co-authoring option in the same tenant. So when you want to use DKE and co-authoring at the same time, it's not possible today. You have to decide DKE in the tenant or co-authoring. And it's not only for the label DKE label, or not only for one label, it's for the tenant. So currently today, it's only possible to activate co-authoring or DKE. And yes, that's a strange discussions because more and more customer activating co-authoring. Yeah, you can work together in encrypted files. This is amazing. And then they start, okay, we want DKE, and we have to say, no, that's not working. You can't use co-authoring and DKE in the same tenant today. But yes, starting 2 weeks before, we have a private preview, and we have a preview for DKA and co-authoring at the same tenant. So in the future, it is possible to have co-authoring DKA, but not co-authoring with DKA, only co-authoring, for example, when you have the default key from Microsoft, then it's possible to have co-authoring with the Microsoft key and DKE solution at the same tenant. So you have a lot of limiteds when you implement and working with DKE. And when you have an overview, what are the best practices for this? And before I show you and talking about the best practices with DKE, I will give you a little hint of we see the limiters, we see the discussions, and what happened. 80% of the companies, especially in Europe and in my surrounding, plan to use DKE, to plan to use a hold your own key solution, often to have encryption proxies like Iperi gateways. Some gateways then encrypt your data with your key solution and uploading the data into the cloud. And in this discussion, they dealing with DKE and said, okay, it's better DKE as a proxy. That's also my hint, use DKE instead of a proxy. And then 80% said, okay, we needed to protect for CIA and NSA. Then only 20% starting with a POC from these companies because of the limits. They don't have a key solution. They have Mac devices, mobile devices. Here they have iPads. And all of these devices don't work. So I said, okay, we need to buy new devices. We need a PKA solution. We need a VPN. Okay, we don't start with a POC, but 20% starting with POC. And I have in the last 5 years around 35 POCs in Europe and also 2 in US and 2 in APAC, where we dealing with Microsoft DKE, double-key encryption. And now it's this very special question: how much of these companies will use it in production? Only 5% of these 20%. So we have only a very, very limited companies they are using double key encryption in production. So very interesting that we have only a few companies at the end of the process of implementation that are using double key encryption in production. And now go a little bit back to best practices before we have a deeper look into the technical at the end of the session. Best practices for me when I'm dealing with customers, when I'm looking at my company, do we want to use DKE? Because also my company is dealing with high sensitive data, and so high sensitive data that we don't use digital files, we only use paper for this. But DKE is a solution for only a very limited and few data. When I see at the companies into the Microsoft Compliance Center or PureView Center, and we have a look, and I'm also talking with the Microsoft product group for DKE, they say around 3 to 8% of files are labeling with a DKE label, and DKE is so using also for highly confidential data, so highly confidential data. Often we use a sub-label, so we have highly confidential data and we use a sub-label with DKE in the name, so we have a very special label for DKE, so it's not for every data, it's only for high sensitivity, it's only for a few. Please use a sub-label, so label only for DKE. And the main issue and main discussion point is the key backup and archiving, because you need the key and also rotating the key. Then you have to restore and back up the old key. You need the old key for encrypt the file. So this is a very high discussion where often the IT security and the data privacy officer that at first want the DKE solution say at the end, no, I don't want the DKE solution. And on the other side, you need VPN for everything. Don't use it for any auto labeling solution, only DKA for manual labeling of these special files. and please, you can create a DKE connector and creating a DKE surrounding, for example, in Azure, only for POC. When you want to work in production, please go to one of the professional PKI provider to use double key encryption. And in the last minutes, let's have a deeper look how it works. We have a discussion about when we're using DKA. We have a look a little bit about best practices and how it works. And I say I'll give you a little bit of the example from Thales. I'm working a lot with Thales for DKA solutions. They have their only DKA broker. This is a Lunar Key broker. They call this a Lunar Key broker. This Lunar Key broker is someone you have a look at the code too, because on GitHub, Microsoft published this DKE connector, and Thales or also Entrust is creating their own connector for this. Some companies creating a connector for HashiCorp. Also creating some of these connectors. So I'm not a developer, but after 1 week, I have my own double key solution with my own key vault in Azure. So this is possible on GitHub. This part is available on GitHub. On the other side, you have this RSM module, and you need the Microsoft 365 MRP client. Today, you need the Azure Information Protection Client. When you are in preview, you can use also the natively one, and then you have the 2 keys. One key is a part of Azure Key Vault. One key is stored in your HSM module. With Thales or Entrust, you can produce both keys, and both keys you can rotate to. And then you have one key, like your bring your own key solution. So you have a bring your own key solution and your own key, and then you have your double key solution at the end. And you use Azure RMS, and you can use it for encrypt your data. And how it works, let's have a look how it works at the end. This is the architecture overview. So you have one key for your key storage, and one key you bring to Azure Key Vault. So yeah, combination of bring your own key and hold your own key is double key encryption. And yes, this is at the end to hold your own key, because the black key is on your side. And now it's not the best option to bring the key, for example, in your own key store to Azure. Then you have both keys in Azure, then you can't fulfill all of the regulatory. And it's very interesting that I'm adding one more, and I'm a little bit
Hi,
at the end
Raphael.
of the session. I know. I'm at the end of the session. I only want to create one thing, and this is please add a VPN around it to protect your key at the HSM module. And at the end of the session, I have some more slides for you at the end and links. And please, go into the discussion about double key encryption. Hopefully, you will use double key encryption in the future. And now, back to the next speaker. If you have any questions, feel free and use the chat, and I will answering now our questions into the chat.
Thank you, Raphael. All right. Guys, go ahead and ask your question in the chat while Raphael is available in the chat in the meeting for a couple of more minutes to answer. And feel free to reach out to him over the LinkedIn, Twitter, and different social media. All right, thanks.